Hey guys, welcome back, and today I'll be doing the next part for what if Cabba was in Universe 7 instead of Universe 6. Now last time we left off with the Saiyans adapting to life on Earth, with the likes of Raditz finding love on the planet, and Cabba finding peace in his life for the first time. Now living on Earth he had begun to train, make friends, and slowly so did Raditz. Now we joined the group back after he had just noticed two large powers appear out of nowhere, and in fact these powers are quite massive. Everyone begins to rocket off towards these powers, and slowly the group begins to converge around one another, until they arrive in front of the two people, who look happy to see them weirdly. The two people fly up and introduce themselves, with one of them asking a quick question about Bulma, asking is she pregnant? With Bulma being a bit surprised that someone might know this, however she does say yes, especially to strangers. She hadn't really talked too much about it, only close friends really know. Two people just give each other a quick nod, and even though it's safe here, Trunks still doesn't reveal himself to be who he is. Goten gives them a quick rundown of what's happening, and everyone's surprised to see a future version of Goten. Now all of the normal stuff that happens here happens, with them explaining what's going to happen with the androids, giving the heart medicine, and then having a quick show of power, with both time travelers actually going Super Saiyan, with Goku following behind them, and the pair have a quick clash, with Goku seeing that if he was to have fought them one-on-one, he probably would have won very easily. However, they are happy with this, and they are happy that the mission went so well, and explain that they will be going back to their timeline, but they will be back in 3 years to help them in the battle. And with this interaction done, everyone realises that they need to start training again. The likes of Raditz and Cabba realise they need to achieve Super Saiyan much sooner than they are currently doing, and Goku is willing to train them. Goku is more than happy to do some training with the likes of his brother and Cabba, and he also wants to get Gohan up to Super Saiyan, who is very happy to be going through this. After all, he wants to also become a Super Saiyan and protect the timeline. Now, the three Saiyans begin to train under Goku, with the likes of Piccolo also joining into battle at some point. But because they are training so much near the Sun family house, Bulma decides to build herself a holiday home up near the Sun family, where she spends a lot of time while she's pregnant up there. She doesn't spend too much, but it's mostly there so Raditz and Cabba can spend the night up near Goku's house, so they don't have to do so much travelling. And once her son Trunks is born, her and Chi-Chi spend a lot more time with each other. After all, she lives quite close now if she wants to. So everything's sort of piecing together a bit nicer, with the Sun family being much closer, and Raditz and Cabba also living really close by. Now, 2 years into the training for the androids, Cabba comes to the conclusion that it might not be a terrible idea to have the Dragon Balls on standby just in case they need it for something, and actually asks Bulma if it would be possible for him to start collecting them using the Dragon Radar, which she obviously agrees to, and he heads off collecting 3 Dragon Balls in just the span of an hour or two. But he soon realises the last few Dragon Balls are all sort of pieced together, and he heads over to them, seeing the Pilaf gang, all old, collecting the Dragon Balls. It's taken them a while, but they have managed to collect 4 balls. Now, the first bit of this encounter is a bit strange. Keep in mind, they've never met each other here, but this guy just flew in to meet them, so they're already a bit wary of him. Now, when Cabba realises that these 3 have 4 balls already, they actually do have a small little conversation here, with Cabba trying to figure out why they want the Dragon Balls, and the Pilaf gang explaining how they want to be young again, relive the good old days. And Mai goes to pull a gun on Cabba just to steal the Dragon Balls off him. However, Shu soon notices that Cabba has a tail, and he begins to freak out, making the others freak out when they realise it themselves. But Cabba doesn't know what's really happening here. He just sort of looks at them in a bit of kind of confused, moment, like they're just losing their minds. And the Pilaf gang soon begins to apologise for, trying to take the Dragon Balls, and here, just have them. However, Cabba isn't really about that. Cabba goes on to apologise. He says, I'm assuming I've done something here to freak you out. You might recognise me from the Saiyan attack a few years ago, actually. If I've done anything to you, I apologise, and my way of making up to it, take the Dragon Balls. The ones he had collected are just being passed over to the Pilaf gang. Now, this is a really big surprise to the likes of the Pilaf gang, They weren't expecting to be given the last 3 balls. Once this is done, Cabba goes on to explain, if you make the wish now, I can give you a lift back to wherever you came from. You look like you've probably travelled pretty far. Showing how kind and, caring he is as a Saiyan. With the Peel Off Gang actually doing this, they make the wish. However, this time, because they're sort of under pressure, they actually make the wish right. They wish to be young again, around the same age as Cabba. So it puts them in their early to late 20s-ish. With everyone being happy that they actually got the wish correct, they were under the pressure of Cabba being there to make the wish right, so it was just the fact that they didn't want to mess up in front of someone who also could be Goku. Cabba, once they've all become young, notices how beautiful Mai looks actually, and heck, Cabba even catches the eye of a younger Mai, with Cabba explaining how if they want the lift they should tell him now because he needs to get back to training. The Peel Off Gang actually do want to take the lift, and he picks them up very easily, putting Peel Off and Shu over his shoulders and holding Mai in a bridal style. While they're flying back to the nearest city, Mai asks Cabba a question: why did she get to have the wish if he was collecting the balls as well? With Cabba explaining how, to be honest, he doesn't need them for another year, and once they've reset, he should have enough time to collect them, so it's not too much of an issue, It'll just take him going out to collect them next year for it. And he seems to have affected them somehow. He doesn't quite know, as he doesn't remember really ever doing anything, but if it was from the Saiyan attack, this was just his way of apologising. And this actually gets a genuine blush out of Mai. After a few minutes, he drops them off in a nearby city, with Cabba explaining how he would have taken them further, however, he needs to get back to training, otherwise Goku and Raditz are going to pull too far ahead of him, and he doesn't really want to fall behind too much. This makes all of the Peel Off Gang shake in fear, really, as they just realise that this guy actually knows Goku, and this makes them sort of quiet down and just say thank you for the lift. Now, the good thing about hearing that he knows Goku is the fact that Mai remembers that Goku knows the Capsule Corp girl. And they know where she lives, so maybe if she ever was interested in seeing him again, she would know where to find him. After all, he did seem very kind. Now after this is done, he gets back to training with everyone, with the 3 Saiyans unlocking Super Saiyan very early on into the training. The 3 Saiyans obviously being Gohan, Raditz and Cabba. They probably unlocked it a year or 2 into their training, and after unlocking this, all Saiyans felt very confident. Now I'm going to do the power levels after these 3 years of training, and then we'll get into the Android saga a little bit. We'll start off with Goku, who's at 180 mil. In Super Saiyan that puts him at 9 bil. He got a lot stronger thanks to the fact he had a lot of Saiyans to train with, and everyone there was pretty much around his strength. With alongside that, 3 of the people he was training with happened to be Super Saiyans, so he managed to get a lot stronger. Next up is Cabba, who's at 170 mil, which puts him at a power level of 8.5 bil. Now thanks to the fact he was only just weaker than Goku before they started training, he grew a lot stronger, however fell behind a small bit because he had to learn Super Saiyan. Following Cabba by a pretty wide margin would be Raditz, who's at a power level of 140 mil, where in Super Saiyan that puts him at 7 bil. He is the weakest of the full-blooded Saiyans, as he had a lot of catching up to do over the few years. Which, on top of that, he had to adjust to living an Earth life. He had to make a relationship happen between himself and Bulma, and slowly he was becoming a good guy. He was much better than Vegeta was at this point. Next up is Gohan, who's at a power level of 150 mil, which puts him at a power level of 7.5 bil in Super Saiyan. Gohan is above his uncle only just here. This is thanks to the fact he started at a much higher point than his uncle, so he had a lot more time to, cover a shorter distance. And the reason he's fallen behind, a little bit behind Cabba and Goku anyway, is because he's had to study as well. Chi-Chi is still making him study, however she is a bit happy with him training here. After all, she's a bit more used to Saiyans. She had to live with 3 pure-blooded Saiyans for a few months. She could sort of deal with it a little bit more. Next up is Piccolo, who's at a power level of 240 mil. He's been training a lot with Saiyans here, and he has had to train hard to manage to even keep up with the Saiyans. So he would train while the Saiyans ate, while they slept, while they rested. Any chance he could get to try and push past the Saiyans, he would take it. Next up is Tien, who's got a power level of 70 mil. He's been training hard like normal. When it comes to being Tien, he always manages to, train hard. He is managing to keep up a little bit, however, thanks to him only being human, he's struggling. Following him is Krillin, who's at a power level of 50 mil. Krillin is training like normal, not doing anything out of the ordinary, so he hasn't grown too much. Yamcha is next. Yamcha has a power level of 45 mil, and he has been training with Krillin a little bit, and the pair have begun to slack off on the search for love. Now, the day of the android attack happens. Both Goku and Raditz say goodbye to their partners, with Bulma not actually going to the attack site of the Saiyans, both choosing to stay at home, look after their, young kids, being Goten and Trunks. Now, the first part of the android saga is going to go pretty much like it did in canon. Yajirobe gets the group some sensory beams, he gets shot down in the city, and everyone splits off looking for the androids. Now, like normal, Yamcha does find the androids first. However, the androids are actually joined by a new member in this team right now. They are joined by Android 16, who Dr. Gero decided to bring with him this time. He finished up some minor tweaks he had with him, and now Android 16 is here. Keep in mind, the reason Android 16 is here is because Dr. Jiraiya's spy cam managed to pick up the fact that Cabba could control his great ape. And once seeing this, he thought that if Goku could learn to do this, he might need some extra firepower in this assault. So he had to bring 16 into the mix with him. On top of this, he also was accounting for the fact that Cabba was staying on Earth. So, he is ready for this. Now, not like normal, Android 16 still has a love for nature. However, he still wants to kill Goku as well. So he doesn't actually attack Yamcha. He merely waits for Goku to show up, while Dr. Gero charges at Yamcha, trying to take him down. However, before he even gets the chance to murder Yamcha, Yamcha is saved by a nearby Cabba who flared up to Super Saiyan very fast to stop the Doctor. He looks over to Yamcha, who's on the floor sort of nervously laughing, saying how, "You're lucky I was nearby," with Yamcha just sort of nodding and getting back up to his feet. Now everyone can sense that Cabba had gone Super Saiyan, so all the Z fighters converge on Cabba, with Android 16 noticing that Goku is there. And before Goku even has a few seconds to touch the ground, Android 16 charges at him, pummeling Goku through a few buildings, and then punching Goku straight into the ground, with Goku not even having a chance to react. But once he is punched into the ground, he takes this quick opportunity he has to turn Super Saiyan. However, Goku is heavily outmatched here, and he's actually starting to feel the effects of the heart virus. Just so you know how heavily outmatched Goku is, Android 16, I'm putting at a power level of about 200 bil, so Goku is nowhere near being able to put up a fight here. With his friends seeing that Goku is in trouble, they want to go help. However, Dr. Gero sends Android 19 onto the Z fighters, with Cabba jumping out in front of the android and breaking its arm, screaming out for everyone else to go help Goku. He has these two androids, and Cabba begins to beat down into Android 19, with the power difference meaning that the android doesn't really even have a chance against Cabba. With the Doctor noticing this, he actually opts to fly away from the fight, just in case Cabba decides to go for him next. Off to a nearby building to watch the beatdown that Goku is receiving. This is his revenge after all, he wants to see it go out. Now, once Cabba destroys Android 19, he goes to find Dr. Gero, but he can't do it, and he soon decides that they're going to need the help in the battle against the bigger android. Now, Android 16 isn't interested in fighting anyone other than Goku, so when people are trying to get in the way to make sure Goku isn't so heavily beaten, he's just knocking them to the side, not giving them a chance, really. Now, the likes of Gohan and Raditz, being the strongest ones, are trying to put a beat down into the android, with it not really doing anything. And even at some point, it puts out the biggest double Sunday he could produce currently, without doing any damage to the nearby area. After all, keep in mind they are still in the city, so he can't really go all out without killing a few people, and that's against his rules, so he's sort of gritting his teeth. Now, this means that the android is just trying to get to Goku. However, when the arrival of Cabba comes, it does give Goku a small chance to fall back a little bit. He's got a sensu bean, and he's getting a small Zenkai from it. However, there is another problem coming in now. With the fact that Goku's heart virus is starting to feel, ready to activate, and Goku is not even really able to fly anymore. And this means the group is at a huge disadvantage. And they realise that they can't win this, and they need to find a chance to escape. With Krillin and Tien both getting ready to use a solar flare to, use it as an opportunity to escape. However, before they can sense a familiar power source. Actually, it's two of them. It's Goten and Trunks are then heard screaming out, "Double Sunday" and Kamehameha, with the two beams coming crashing into the android, which makes a massive smoke screen. The two then shout out for everyone to run, and everyone takes this opportunity to fly out as fast as possible, with the likes of Raditz grabbing hold of his brother to take him out of there. Everyone meets up briefly a few minutes away from Goku's house, and all decide that they are going to head towards Goku so Chi-Chi can get him the heart medicine, with this all happening very fast. Now everyone has a chance to rest, they are all given a sense of being just enough to cover everyone who's there, with the likes of, the future time travelers only getting half just to cover up some energy that they lost. They even have a chance to really catch their breath fully. Everyone decides that the best move is to now move Goku over to Kame house, with Piccolo explaining how he'll be heading over towards Kame. He has an idea, and the group split up temporarily. Now everything with Piccolo and Kame fusing goes exactly like canon, with him still heading off to fight Cell like he did in canon. And I'm also going to cover the fight very briefly here as well, and I'm just literally going to say it's going to go like it did in canon. Not a lot has changed here, so it's probably still going to go down how it did. However, I will explain it in a bit more detail in a minute. Now, over at Kame house, everyone has arrived. We can see Chi-Chi upstairs attending to her injured husband, trying to calm down the heart virus, with everyone else being downstairs, and the time travelers explaining that wasn't the android they were trying to warn them about. Go on to explain how even in the future they didn't ever see an android like that. They also go on to explain how in the future it seems like nothing has changed. It seems like it was multiverse theory, unfortunately, meaning that the group aren't really going to be able to change anything here to save future Trunks and future Goten's timeline. However, they do think that if they can stop it here, they can learn how to stop them in the future. That's why they're back. The group panic after learning a bit more about the future androids and how they are actually weaker than this one that they are currently fighting. And that could also mean that the androids that Trunks knows are still in this timeline and they are stronger than the ones he ever knew. This makes the group very nervous, and they know they need to grow stronger faster, and they don't really know how, with the likes of the Saiyans being really bummed out that the Super Saiyan forms just wasn't enough to defend Goku, with Cabba stating how he could easily defeat Dr. Gero if he was strong as the 19 one, but he doesn't know where they are, and if he's guarded by the bigger one, they're in trouble. Now, everything's interrupted when everyone senses that Piccolo is massively stronger all of a sudden. His power level is probably around 160 bill, meaning if Android 17 was around, he could probably take him. However, Android 16 is here, and he's still just weaker than him. Now, Trunks and Goten want to go help out in the fight with whoever Piccolo's fighting to be that strong right now. However, Krillin explains that if the big android shows up here, they're going to need all the help they can get. Himself and Tien will go check on Piccolo just to make sure that he's alright, with the pair rocketing off towards Piccolo, whose interaction with Cell, like I said, goes pretty much like it did in canon, with Krillin and Tien showing up, and Piccolo explains everything he learned about Cell. And he also explains how there is also some other androids, with Krillin also filling in the little bit of information he knows. They decide that they need to move Goku again. This android that is after them is not going to wait around much longer. So everyone heads back to Kame house, and when they arrive they explain that they want to move Goku again. However, they're not going to move everyone this time, they're just moving Goku and Chi-Chi up to Kame's lookout. And everyone agrees to this, with everyone getting up to Kame's lookout and getting ready to, adjust to this. With Chi-Chi there to keep an eye on her husband, while Bulma and Roshi stay at Kame house looking after the two young hybrid Saiyans, being Goten and Trunks. With Goten being old enough to sort of understand what's happening, he's about 4 here, he doesn't really understand it, but he understands that something bad's happening, and Trunks is just there. Now everyone on the lookout begins to settle down. However, Cabba, Raditz, Goten, Trunks and Gohan, and when I say Goten and Trunks I mean the future ones, they hate how they really can't do anything to stop the android if he was to show up, and that android's really trying to kill Goku, and it's visibly noticeable how annoyed they are. But Mr. Popo speaks up, explaining that they could always use a time chamber if they wish, with Mr. Popo giving them a quick run through of how it works. This makes the Saiyan really energised, and all of them sort of get up ready to go in. He goes on to explain how there's only enough food in there for a year for 2 people. With no one not wanting to make the first move, They want to decide it quickly and fastly so they can get ready to come back out and defeat this Android 16, with the first person to stand up say something being Future Trunks. He stands up asking if he could go in with his father, Raditz. And this sort of shocks Raditz. He didn't know he was his son, however he had a hunch, and it's just weird to learn about it. With no one having any objections to this really, they both head in to begin their training, with Trunks spending some good quality time with his father, and Raditz learning a bit about his future son. Now, over with the androids, after the group escaped earlier, they took a moment to scan around the city. When they didn't find anything, they decided the next move would be to head towards Goku's house, getting ready to kill Goku. However, when they arrived, it was already too late and the group had moved towards Kami's house. And they are now on their way towards Kami's house. But this is where I'm leaving the story. I'm leaving it with all the Saiyans up on the lookout. Goku's still in a heart virus damaged state. The androids on the hunt for the Z fighters, and also Cell lurking around in the darkness after meeting Piccolo once. After this is all, said and done, I've set it up for a good little part next time. Now, I do actually have a question. I don't really know who I want to go in with one another. I have 4 people left to put in, well 5 if I want to put Piccolo in as well. But I just want to ask who should go in with who. I don't really know who I want to put Cabba in with, and my gut says to put Goku in with Gohan, but I don't know if I feel like mixing it up. Let me know what people think I should do. What pairings should I do for this time chamber training? I knew Raditz and Trunks were going in with one another from the get-go. That was something I wanted to do, but other than that I don't really know. But anyway, I hope everyone had a good day or a great night, and I'll talk to you next time.